Hey friends, in today's video you'll learn how to Dockerise a Laravel based application. There's a number of different ways this can be done, but I'm going to take the simplest approach with this video. In future videos we'll look at alternatives which can be more appropriate for production systems, so hit that subscribe button and let's get going. Before we begin, make sure you have Docker, Composer and Laravel installed on your machine. Links for this are in the description below. The first order of business is to create an example Laravel project. Let's use Composer to generate an example application. We can use Artisan to serve the application locally on port 8000. Okay, so now we have a Laravel app to work with. In order to serve the app within a container, we can use a number of different methods, but for the purposes of this tutorial we'll use the official PHP Apache image with PHP 8.2. We will need to create a Dockerfile for our project. The Dockerfile is a text file that contains all the commands necessary to assemble a Docker image. So let's create an empty Dockerfile in our application root. The PHP Apache image should contain everything we need to get going. You can specify at this point to use the version of PHP most appropriate for your project, but I will recommend fixing the version to ensure that your container build is reproducible. The from instruction tells Docker which base image to build from, so we'll specify the PHP Apache image and fix the version at 8.2. Next we'll install a couple of dependencies. Depending on your project you may need to specify additional system dependencies such as GD, but for now let's use zip as an example. Next we'll enable the Apache mod rewrite module and install a couple of example PHP extensions. The official Apache image already comes pre-configured with a basic virtual host, but in our case Laravel is served from its public directory, so we'll need to update the default virtual host with the path that Laravel expects. Don't worry too much about this, it looks more complicated than it is. Basically we're using sed to append public to the pre-configured Apache document root. Next we'll copy our project files into the container and specify a workdir, which sets a working directory for other instructions we're going to provide to our Dockerfile. Finally, we'll run Composer within our container to install the necessary dependencies and update the permissions of our storage and cache folders. And that's it. Okay, so now we've completed our simple Dockerfile, we can build it with docker build. This command tells Docker to look at the current directory for a Dockerfile. To make it simpler to run, we'll also tag the container. And finally we'll use our tag name to run the container locally. The P flag tells the Docker daemon to port forward a port on our host machine to the container so we can access this externally. And there we go. In this series I'll be outlining how to publish this image to an external repository and how to deploy it in various places. Please consider subscribing and hit the bell icon to be notified when these tutorials become available. Keep learning, stay consistent and above all keep coding. Thank you so much for watching, till next time.